Welcome to FireHour. Thanks for joining us. Gene decided last minute that he was going to go run into his office and grab his ugly sweater.
It's a cow.
I
love it. And then it has a pocket right here. And so like I can take a beverage and put it in my pocket. See, you can't even tell. It's like a hidden beverage pocket.
Surprised there's not an udder down there to.
Okay, let me get my copyright.
Sorry, thank you for tolerating us for the first couple minutes while we humor ourselves with Gene's ugly sweater. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody. Thank you guys for joining us on this Fire Hour. I'm sorry we skipped 2 weeks ago because we just had a lot of stuff going on at the shop and stuff, and we still do have just an incredible amount of different projects going on. But just to introduce ourselves, I'm James Hamsey. This is Gene Hamsey. We are two of the three owners of FireSprint, and the whole purpose of Fire Hour is just to help kind of expose how we grow our business and what we do and stuff. And we absolutely love questions that fuels us to keep going and stuff. And so we got a handful of them picked out and stuff. But if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments either on Facebook or YouTube, and we'd love to answer those for you here if we can. So there's really nothing you can't ask us that we won't answer. We're pretty open.
I agree.
We'd
love the deep dive questions and challenges that we face. So we will do just under 8 million in revenue this year. There's about 35 of us here at FireSprint. And so if you've never seen anything else that we've done before, just to give you an idea, that's what we're talking from. We have a lot to learn. We figured a lot out, but I think it's like everything that we figure out, it's like, oh gosh, there's this whole world that like we don't understand. So it's I feel like I know less today than I did 17 years ago when we got started, but that's not possibly true.
Yeah.
Right. I hope maybe I'm getting dumber.
Kim says, are you guys going to talk about that new printer? Welcome, Kim. Thank you for joining us. Kim is actually one of our customer service reps who keeps just ranting and raving about how she wants to watch Fire Hour and loves it. She actually calls it Fire Power Hour, not just Fire Hour. Yeah. And so,
let's talk about that printer.
Yeah. So we got a video that we're going to show everybody of kind of the progress. It's actually going surprisingly slow, like the way that it's getting set up and stuff. But they kind of warned us of that, and we expected that. And then with the holidays and everything too. And so really they've got it set up, and they were actually getting ready to. They ran a quick test print yesterday just to check alignment of the nozzles, and. He ran like one board through, and then he was getting ready to leave, and I was like, oh wait, I need a video of this thing running, and it stopped working. So
it's pretty typical during a setup. I mean, there's a lot that goes into the setup, and we can talk about that more. And if you guys want to know more about that, ask away. We'll explain everything we know about it, and even talk about some things we don't know.
Yeah.
And but it's a Durst P5 350 HS-D4, which means it's essentially Durst's fastest scanning printer. So, where the nozzle goes back and forth, the print head goes back and forth. Anything faster than this on the market in terms of productivity or anything is going to be a single pass machine. So this is the most productive, fastest, probably top machine that we could possibly buy without going into like the packaging world of the single pass machines and things like that, which are $2-3 million machines.
Yeah.
So we've got that video to roll on the install. Let's play that.
Yeah.
And then go from there. So this printer is made in northern Italy, and it's shipped over here on a boat and loaded on a truck, goes through customs, and brought to us in these giant crates. And so we actually hire a professional rigging team to come in and put it in place for us. This is certainly not something you'd want to do yourself. They have insurance. They have know-how, skill. They bring the equipment with them, and so it ain't cheap, but they know what they're doing. And then we consistently use American Crane and Rigging here in Omaha, and so they, the team there knows who we are.
Yeah, they've gotten to know our shop too, which is nice.
They're just aware of what's going on. They know what is important to us and what isn't important to us. And so, constantly bidding this stuff out. Like, we don't even go for bid, which might cost us a lot of money, but we don't do that because we want the same people doing it over and over again.
How much is this project, do you think?
This is, my guess is between 5 and 10,000. So we haven't even gotten, but it's a lot. But
it is a lot of money. But the thing, so when they brought in like the P10, for example, or like one of the Zunes, how much was that?
That was quite a bit less. I don't remember, maybe 5,000.
Yeah, I thought it was less than 5,000. I thought it was like 3,000 or 4,000.
Yeah,
and so
you might be right.
Yeah,
yeah. It's a non-optional cost for us, right?
Yeah.
Like, we have to do it. At least we see it that way. I know a lot of shops are like, well, I'm going to rent the forklift and do it myself and save the money. It's like, I mean, you can.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
for us, that's just not something we do. So it comes in this big vacuum sealed bag, as you can see there, and they're bringing it in through the dock, and they've got this little like robot RC car. If anybody tells you that you can't drive an RC car for a living, go be a rigger.
Yeah, they said the weight capacity of this RC car was like 80,000 pounds, and what was cool is, back when we were bringing the P10 in and all of our other equipment, it's like you'd put it on little 4-wheel dollies, and then you get a handful of guys to push it, and then they'd have to be able to stop it and stuff. And
this is so controlled this way.
Yeah, it's controlled, and it's real slow moving, but it's. I mean, it took them 20 minutes to get across our shop floor. Our shop's not. I mean, it's not that big. It's big, but it's not.
Yeah. This is way sped up too.
Yeah.
So you can definitely walk circles around it, no problem. As
Yeah.
It's moving. But they seal it in that big vacuum sealed bag. They pump it full of some gas. I don't know if it's argon, some inert gas to keep the moisture content down, particularly, traveling across the sea and things like that. It keeps it very safe in there, but it is still very cold. And so can't do anything about it being cold. So they actually set this up. They'll put it in place, as you're going to see them doing in the next minute or two of this video. But then they just, basically this was on a Thursday, they did kind of an initial level just to kind of make sure that it's pretty close to level. And then they just let it sit for 3 days. And they wanted the machine to warm up. And the machine weighs about 20,000 pounds. And we calculated the concrete slab that it went on weighs about 28,000 pounds. And so that's pretty heavy sitting on that piece of concrete. So that concrete might adjust a little bit. The machine is like kind of adjusting. And they want to get it perfectly level through that whole process. And so there is just a lot of hurry up and wait where it just sits and kind of settles out. This forklift is so cool because that, like, when they go to pick up the heavy loads, they actually set the counterweights back a little bit so it can lift the heavier weight. And then they bring it in to maneuver around corners and whatnot. So there she is. And so they have run, I mean, yesterday was 6 days, right? Including the weekend. And they've already run ink through it. They've got it mostly set in place and set up. And having that slab poured really helped. The leveling process has been very efficient. It's not moving very much. We've had printers where we'll set them in place and 3 days later, they're still moving.
Yeah.
And so the level, so you've got a 3 meter wide machine, it's about 11 and a half feet or so. Across that 11 and a half feet, the printing area, they want it to be 5/100ths of a millimeter. So this is like not even human hair, very, very precise leveling. And that's to get the maximum print quality out of that guy. So very cool.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Obviously, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments. We'd love to answer them for you. There's nothing you can't really ask or there's nothing that we won't answer. So, or try to answer at least. So, not saying it's the right answer, but we'll try. So, We do have. I guess how's that make you feel seeing that come in?
I'm pretty excited about it. I mean, it really is. I feel like the first Durst P10 that we put in back in 2018, like just the next year, just kind of launched us. It changed our mindset about things and whatnot. This one, I think, is really going to help us grow, and so I'm pretty excited about that. It's just cool to say that we've got one of the fastest printers on the market.
Yeah.
Sitting out there. It really not just the fastest, but like the best in terms of what we can output and quality and the durability of it. And I don't want to turn this into a Durst commercial, but
no,
we just spent $1 million on it. So about
one of the things that's cool is what it's doing to our shop. The way that it rallies our team behind it and stuff is cool. And then also it helps us bring light to the points that are that do need work. And printing capacity obviously it was a big bottleneck because we had the P10, which is only doing 35 boards an hour, and so it's going to basically eliminate that capacity. But then it sheds light on all the other departments within our facility to help us find efficiencies there and stuff, which we've been doing a lot. There's a lot we could talk about with that stuff too. Just making our cutters faster, making the workflow
process,
the workflow
around them efficient.
Yeah. And so what made us choose the P5?
Well, I think there's two questions there in that. Like, why did we choose this printer? I think there's two questions. I think the first question is, why do you choose why did we choose Durst? But why really do you choose a company to work with, right?
Yeah.
And then the second is, once you kind of decided the company that you want to work with, which model do you want to buy? And so, Durst in themselves they've always been there. They're solid. When we started working with them back in 2018, it's like anytime we're down, anytime there's an issue, they take it very, very seriously. And so we actually have an issue with our Colorados right now where they're like, one of the Colorados has been down. It's up now, but it was down for 2 weeks. I mean, I don't think Durst would allow that to happen. They'd send the whole army out to get us back up and running if something like that would happen.
Yeah. So our Durst was down was it a week or two ago?
It's been a little longer than that.
Yeah, but it was down for like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
And one of the cool things that they did, and not like, it really stunk that we were down, but one of the cool things that they did that made us realize like how seriously they take it is, they were trying to think of all the things that could be wrong with it. And then they were overnighting those parts to us.
Yeah.
And so before the tech even got here, those boxes were sitting on our floor with the parts that she needed to replace.
So it's your plan A, B, C, and D. They overnight all the parts for all those plans, anything it might be. And then the technician goes through them from most likely to least likely. And then whatever they don't use, they just send back.
Yeah.
And they're very good about doing that. Whereas, we've had other companies, and Canon is reasonably good at that kind of thing too, but we've had other companies that we've worked with where, it's like, let me ground you these parts and we're going to try that and see what happens. They're like trying to save a few bucks and we're like down. And it's like, very expensive for a company like us to be down with, 85% of our stuff shipping in 48 hours. And so that is a big reason why we like trust Durst. But I would say, whatever you're buying, the company that you're working with, talk to other people who own them, ask those people, how fast the texts respond. When the texts do come, do they come with an army of parts? Do you feel like they feel supported? Are they trying to save money? Or are they trying to get you back up and running? Like, we've never felt like the Durst guys are trying to save money. It's like, if they find something, they're like, well, I can go to Grainger and get something that's going to work and we're going to get you back up and running. And like, they'll go to Grainger and spend whatever they need to spend to buy that part. That's rare. Usually it's a more specialized part. But they're willing to do anything that they can. It's they have a credit card and they have the support to do that. And so, ask that of, if you're thinking about buying a piece of equipment, ask that of the manufacturer that you're thinking about working with. Are they going to support you? Are they going to get you back up and running? We make money when this stuff is running, not when it's down. And so, that's pretty critical.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, we were just thinking about it. Why did we pick the 350 D4 HS Plus? Yeah, the big one. Why did we pick that one, the fastest one? And I think the reason for that is just It is the fastest. It's top of the line. We just kind of, this last 6 months, and I'll share this with you right now. About the last 6 months for me, I have really started feeling like, why not triple FireSprint? And so I've gone 15 years personally. This is just my personal experience with it. I've gone 15, 16 years where I'm thinking 10% growth per year is good. And it is. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I started asking myself this question, like, well, why not triple? Why not, what's stopping us from doing that? And I don't really have an answer there's nothing stopping us other than our focus and our desire to do that. And so that got me thinking, well, then we've got to buy the fastest printer so that print is not an issue. That's not what's going to stop us from getting there.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, to put it simply.
Yeah. And if you think of in relation to the printer, if you think of printer number 2, printer number 3, it's just another one of these, hopefully. Yeah. And obviously we got to get it up and running and stuff, but everybody in the, all of the big guys that we tend to look at as our competitors and stuff, that this is what they run. And so it's, it was like, okay, let's make this thing work. Is there a comment?
No.
Well, thanks, Kim. So what's our next step? So we got the printer going. Obviously we got to get it, it's got to be running and stuff, which we'll have plenty of videos to talk about that in the future and stuff. If you just follow most of you guys are probably following our YouTube channel or our Facebook page, and you'll see kind of when the thing's actually in production, and when we do start running it, we'll try to get as many videos as we can and document it as much as we can. And, but like what's next after this is up?
So we expect this to be running sometime in early to mid-January. So there's, a lot of calibration, just getting it perfect, dialed in. But then after that, we've actually invested in some extensions for our big zoomed cutting table to really help with just the workflow there. We've bought a stacker or a feeder, which will actually pick boards up off a pallet and put it onto the zoom cutter. So there's a lot of really buying the printer. What it does is it kind of checks the checkbox of, okay, print is not a problem anymore. We can print anything that we sell. Now it's all about finishing, and so it's about leveling our production with our finishing process. We are implementing a bunch of lean initiatives that really getting back to that. I'll be honest, we've gone in and out of really focusing on lean. And I think the last few months we've really started focusing on that because we see that there's a huge opportunity for us to do more with what we have. And so
why can't we just basically buying the printer is kind of like throwing money at the problem, right?
Yeah.
Why can't we do that with finishing?
Yeah. So that's a good point. Printing is kind of something you just pay for it. You buy it. You buy faster printers, right?
Yeah.
Finishing, we can buy faster cutters, but the sorting, packing, and shipping at the end of it is a manual process. It's, we have free shipping over $49, right? So we get, 2 of these and 1 of these and 3 of these get added to a shopping cart, and figuring out how to get those to go in a single carton where they might be separate materials. There's just all these challenges that we can't just say we're going to buy a piece of equipment that's going to solve that. Printing is, what we do is really kind of the simple part of it. And many of you guys know that. Like, you get a good printer, you get a good relationship with it, you kind of figure it out, and then it just runs, right? And until you need to repair it, but it's pretty straightforward. And it's consistent with the speed at which it's running. Whereas finishing, another thing is, we might run some really complex cuts that take a half hour to cut a board.
Yeah.
We might run some really simple cuts that take 10 minutes to cut a board, or a minute to cut a board. Trying to combine all those things is really a workflow thing. It doesn't have that much to do with our equipment. It has to do with how we're utilizing the resources we have, the equipment and the people and the software. And so it's just, that's the big thing. That's the limiting factor of growth.
Yeah. So going back to the printer, I had a question here. Were we nervous at any moment when they were moving this thing around?
Yeah. So this time what they did was they actually brought it in on the skid, and then they lifted it up in place and then set it down. And the last couple of times we've moved anything of this size, they took it off the skid in the parking lot, and then they brought the printer in with the casters being under the main load points of the printer.
Yeah.
And so when I saw them, that was happening. And then our rigging team, it's the same company, but most of the guys are from a different team than we're used to seeing. So I wasn't seeing a bunch of familiar faces with these guys.
Yeah.
And so that concerned me a little bit, that we're doing this a little different than we've done in the past. And they all kept saying, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. And then, of course, we had Andrew, who's our Durst tech, different Andrew than the one sitting over here. But Andrew was there, and he's like, it's going to be fine. They do this all the time, this way. It's done this way all the time. And so that made me very nervous that we were just doing it differently, but it worked out fine. Absolutely no errors. And, of course, the biggest thing, nobody got even a minor injury through the process. I don't even think anybody got a paper cut. So that was fantastic.
There was one point I was watching it go in from the parking lot. So they had their own trailer, which you guys saw that in the video, and that trailer level, so it became flush with our dock. And when they were scooting that thing in, with the forklift, they were pulling it in. It looked like it was walking a little bit, but it didn't actually walk far enough to hit the door. But I mean, our door is only 10 foot wide or something.
Yeah, I think we have a 10-foot wide.
And I mean that was like a 9.5 foot wide pallet.
Yeah.
So it's a 9 foot wide pallet, and so there's not much room there for air, but they got it like to fit in. And then, they're going through a second door, 30 feet after that first one. And so they had to maneuver it, almost get it perfect. It's just amazing how easily they made that look, or how easy they made that look. Yeah. So, what do we do to prepare for installation?
Well, we do have a question here, which has nothing to do with this, but that's fine. I still want to jump in and answer it from Science Visual on YouTube. Yeah.
Do we carry glossy banner material or only print on matte banners? We do have. Not yet. Not yet. We hope to have both options in the near future. Adding this printer means that we're bringing all of our banner production. We do outsource some of our banner production right now, just to help with capacity and stuff. But with this, all of it's going to come in house. And matte versus gloss banner is something that we do hope to have in the near future.
Yeah, we really have not been focused on banner for 17 years, right? It's been kind of an afterthought. And about a year ago, we lowered the price to be more in line with what our competitors are doing. So it's like it makes sense to buy it from FireSprint right now, especially the 13-ounce banner. And then, over the past year and a half, we've really been investing in equipment to get faster at it, get better at it. This printer is a big move there. And so I think you're going to see us really improve on the flexible signage, banner and other things in the near future here. That's a big push for us for 2025. Most shops our size are maybe 70, 80% roll, 10, 20, 30% rigid at most. We're totally flipped. We're 80% rigid. We were 95% rigid 6 years ago.
Yeah.
We're like 80% rigid, 20% roll. And as we grow, we expect rigid to maintain or even grow a little bit. But roll, I think, is the biggest opportunity for us to grow. And that would include gloss banner, matte banner.
Yeah. 18 ounce.
18 ounce. All different kinds of stickers and decals. We got our last FireHour, somebody was talking about like IJ 180.
Yep.
CV3, I think, like wrap vinyl, cast,
Yep.
Vinyl materials, things like that. I think you're going to see us getting into all that kind of stuff over the next 12 to 18 months, maybe.
Yeah.
Because that's where our market wants us to. I mean, it's where you want us to go and provide. So you can get more stuff to add up to that $49 and make it real easy to get your free shipping.
Can you, or is it an option to do clear permanent vinyl and have it kiss cut? So our clear vinyl that we stock now is removable, and so do you think that we'll add a permanent option to our clear? Kiss cutting clear is possible, I think, isn't it?
The reason we don't kiss cut clear and holographic, because it is actually kind of it's a thicker, heavier vinyl. It's a semi-rigid vinyl, which is it's not rigid when you feel it, but it's more rigid than like a soft vinyl that you're used to feeling for a sticker. And it does not kiss cut well. It requires a ton of force to kiss cut it, at least with the equipment we're using right now. Yeah. So that's why we don't offer it. It's just not a good product. It's not a clean cut. But it is definitely all these things where you have every type of material that we offer available in both kiss and through cut. Like that's always on our list But we'll definitely take note that this is something that you're asking for, because it's a vote towards figuring that out.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm curious if you don't mind sharing what the application is for Kiss Cut
Permanent Clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Please share that, James. James Duncan, different James. Well, you too.
Good name.
It is a solid name.
Yep.
My son's name is also James, so I'm quite biased.
So we talked a little bit about this, but how does this purchase motivate the team? What are we doing internally? We got a huge push internally
we're doing so much. Stuff like this, I don't know. It's just my perspective, but I think the biggest thing with stuff like this is when you're investing, and when we bought our building, you buy this equipment, whether or not you might have people on your team that don't push for growth. They might say, no, I really like what I'm doing and I want to do something different. They don't push for change. But at the end of the day, if you get deeper in their psyche, they want to grow. Every human being, it's a physiological trait. Every human being wants to grow. Nobody wants to be in the same spot tomorrow as they were today, or a year from now, or 10 years from now. They want to be able to look back on their lives and say they accomplished something. They might not share that idea with you, but they want that.
Yeah.
And one way,
the guys that
I believe that 100%, even the crotchety old guy that doesn't not necessarily old, but just, they all want growth.
Because everybody's heard, I just want to clock in, do my job, and go home. Right.
And I think that's bullshit. Honestly, I think people want to be fulfilled by their work. Mm-hmm. They may not believe it's possible. But anyway, that's way philosophical. But when you make big investments in equipment, these are capital investments that are highly visible. Right? Yep. This isn't like software is harder, because it's like you might spend as much on software as you do a printer, but it's not as visible. It's not like they can't point to it when their friends and family walk in the shop or we bought a new printer. We got new software today. Nobody cares if you got new software today. But which is, don't get me wrong, is crazy important. But it inspires people to feel like the company is growing when you're making those big capital investments. We really do get an uptick in people being excited about things, talking about things. We're discussing how to get better. How are we going to do more? How are we going to get faster? We got the shipping guys thinking about, okay, this printer's coming in. We're going to have to ship more. How do we ship more? How do we get better at shipping? Right. And it's 2 or 3 steps removed, but they're still thinking about it because that big capital investment's being made in the company. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Is there an option for more transparent printing? It allows light through on clear vinyl. So one of the things that stops us for offering clear, because ink is naturally transparent, and if you're printing on clear vinyl and you don't put white ink behind CMYK, it's going to be it's going to have a glow to it. Which there's a sample on our conference room door over there, but it shows light through. And one of our hesitations with allowing that was when we first introduced the product, we didn't know what the demand would be for that. And then also, how do we communicate the challenge of, since everything's being ordered through FireSprint.com, how do we communicate whether or not CMYK needs a white background behind it? Now, we do that on holographic, and I am curious, some of our clients' feedback, and I would love to try to understand this better, as to if they like the way that we sell holographic with white behind CMYK, or if that's too confusing or what. And so, but really what would make it a lot easier is if our clients understood just the ability to layer their files in Illustrator,
Mm-hmm.
Where you have the color print.
We almost need an expert mode for our stuff, right?
Yeah.
One of and to just kind of touch on what James is saying. So one of our rules, and take this and run with this with your business. So we are an e-commerce platform, essentially. That's what we are, right? Everything we sell goes through our website. And so we need to be able to sell products that we can explain. Our rule of thumb is 2 sentences. If we can't explain the product in 2 sentences, then it's too complicated for FireSprint, okay? And so that eliminates a ton of stuff. But we also have a ton of really, really great promotional products, advertising agency type buyers that buy from us, and they want kind of a packaged, completed product. They're not thinking about the layering of ink or anything like that.
Yeah.
They just want to send us a logo and get that product back. And ooh, holographic, that's cool. Or ooh, clear, that's cool. Let's do that, and send it in and not think about it. And so we had to try and think about, okay, how do we build this product? How do we sell this product in a way that those people are kind of covered? But I think this just makes me think that, maybe in the future there's an opportunity for like an expert mode on our website. And it's like, don't touch my artwork. I've got my artwork perfect. Use the layers as they are in the artwork. I accept all responsibility for it, but it's expert mode. And then you're basically telling our printer exactly what you want. I want the layers layered like this. I want white, then color, then white, then, and we could certainly do something like that, I think, in the future.
Yep.
But it's always, how do we market to all of our clients with 2 sentences on a product? And that does slow us down a bit in terms of offering all the different variables that our printers and our equipment and our people are clearly capable of doing. But, communicating that.
We do have another question from, I think I'm going to say this right, Amran Salim. And it's, any questions for starting a new custom digital textile printing business as we are planning to establish in Bahrain? Digital textile printing business.
Digital textile printing business as we are planning to establish in Bahrain. So if you have more specific questions, I think we can get into more specific answers. But I am going to say that I think one of the biggest, and I'm going to lose some people when I say this, but I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make in our industry is, I'm going to sell, I see all this stuff with ink on it. I'm going to sell everything with ink on it to everybody who buys stuff with ink on it. And the challenge is you think that you're broadening your scope so that you can sell to more people and sell more products. But what you're really doing is just telling the world that you're kind of crappy at everything and not really great at something. And so what you need to do is you need to get your client base to think about you for something very specific, right? So if it's and I'm not in the textile world, so I don't even know where to start there, but I'll use us as an example. We went trade only. So we picked a client base. Right there, we took the 80 million print buyers in the United States and we said, nope, we're going to sell to 150,000 people. So we took 99.9% of the print buyers in the country and we eliminated them from our client base. We just said, we're not even going to sell to them, right? It's not even our thing. And then we said, you just heard me talk about how everything that we sell has to be sold within 2 sentences, right? We have to be able to explain it in 2 sentences. So we've got this simplicity factor to what we're selling. We've got speed. There are things that we do that we try and differentiate ourselves that we really, really stick to. And it seems like every time we do it, every time we go on our website and say, you know what, this product, we can't explain it correctly. People are getting it wrong when they order it. We're getting it wrong when we're shipping it. We cut it, we grow. It's weird. It's not what you would think would happen, but it's because what we're doing is we're laser focusing on getting better at things. And so that's my best advice for anybody getting in this industry. I firmly believe, at first you do have to cast a wide net because you don't know where your clients are. And I get that. You're selling everything to everyone. But when you start to find that market that's like, you know what, actually, in the last 6 weeks, I've had 9 schools reach out to me for this type of product. Well, maybe schools are your thing, right? And then you start focusing on that client. It's either a product, you get really good at a product that you sell to a wide range of people, or you get really good at selling to a particular type of client and you do more for them.
Yeah.
Right. Those are kind of the 2 big buckets that I would put stuff in. That's always my focus.
Signs Visual. Do you have any advice on digital marketing methods that retail sign shops should invest in? Facebook ads, Google ads, or is it better to invest in a dedicated salesperson? I would. So I think it really depends on how you sell and who you sell to. So if your focus is e-commerce like ours is, then ads are probably something that you should really take seriously, and you probably want to touch on this more, but ads are something that you want to take seriously because that's where your client base is. However, if you are selling to schools and you get an order every single time you walk into that school, then a dedicated salesperson is probably your best bet. It just really depends on what's there. And then also, like if you are investing in Facebook ads or Google ads, that helps build top of mind awareness. Content helps build top of mind awareness. If you make videos like we do, that just gets people driving, and thinking about you when they think about yard signs, banners, stickers, sign shops, stuff like that. But yeah, and then if relationships are your core, then a salesperson plus you is, that's, I'm not sure how big your company is, but, yeah, it's and relationships are everything. I mean, if you are focusing on selling to, specific client bases that want you to walk in, or they want you to call on them, or they want you to email them, regularly, then, you never know what's going to come from that. I think about all the relationships that we have, even though we are an e-commerce company, all the relationships that we have with, a handful of people and stuff, and what that's drummed up, how that's helped our business grow, not just order wise, but a few weeks ago when we were on our FireHour, that was when we were traveling, that was a relationship that we had curated that allowed us to go do that, and vice versa for them, where they could come into our shop and see our stuff. And so
I think you have an idea of what I'm going to say here to answer, well, it's Science Visuals specific question there, marketing methods. What do you think I'm going to say?
Calculate the ROI.
Well, yeah, that's because that's what James hears me ask all the time. What's the ROI on this? Focus, right? Yeah. So there are, and I'm stealing this from Alex Ramosi. I love Alex Ramosi. And I just feel like he speaks to me at this point in our business right now. But he says there's 4 types of outreach. There's cold outreach, so that's cold calling. There's warm outreach, so that's calling existing clients and things like that. We're doing a lot of warm outreach right now.
Yeah.
There's buying ads, which is one-to-many cold contacts. So that's you're just putting something in front of somebody who has no idea where you are, so you're buying ads, or content marketing. So those are your 4 options. And content marketing is what we're doing here, and that is one-to-many warm, right? So it's cold and warm, one-to-one or one-to-many, right? Yeah. And so you've got those 4 quadrants of how you do it. And what a lot of business owners do, and what I did when we started off and everything else, was you do all of them. And then again, kind of like marketing to everyone, you do them all kind of haphazardly, and you do them all poorly. What you do is you figure out what works for all of them. Will work. Mm-hmm. They will all work.
Yeah.
And but you're going to find that your style of business, the clients that really do make you money, what you enjoy doing, is going to land in one of those quadrants. And then the key is to just do shitload of that, right? Yeah. And way beyond anything that you think is effective. I'm curious how many people here watching have heard me talk about pricing, right? And I think that'd be a good experiment. And this is a pretty select group of people who kind of follow us, which thank you very much for your loyalty on that. But most of the people watching this probably have not heard me talk very much about pricing.
Yeah.
But I have talked in depth about pricing, built pricing calculators. We've got videos all over our thing. I talk about pricing a lot.
We just sent an email blast yesterday talking about pricing.
And most of the people who I'm like reaching out to or will reach on this video haven't heard me talk about pricing. And so it's like, you think that, okay, well, I mentioned that I ran that ad, last month, and I would have caught everybody on Facebook that would have been interested in it, so I'd never have to do that. It's not how it works. If it works, do more of it, and just do more and more and more of it until it doesn't work anymore. I think the biggest mistake you could make is say, well, we've got these, let's say you're choosing Facebook ads. We've got these Facebook ads running over here and they're working, and let me see if I can get something else. No. Go back to the Facebook ads and put all your energy into just doing as much of that as you can.
Yeah.
I think is the key. And again, I can't stress it enough. We're at 7.6 million. Every bit of growth we've had was when we stopped and we refocused on doing more of what's working and less of what's not.
Yeah. So 2021 I think it was 21. We had like 3 different styles of clients it was 3 different clients that were ordering from us, and they were ordering a ton from us.
Yeah, only 3.
And then I'm just kidding. There was a lot, but there were 3 that were like really sticking out, and it was almost.
Oh, so you are talking about specific clients?
I was talking about specific clients.
Specific clients in 2021.
And we hold on. Let me back up a little bit because I'm overstepping here. What's really cool when you are trying to focus to continue on Science Visuals comment. What's really cool is when you're trying to figure out which method works the best, figuring out ways to track it the best way that you can. And sometimes tracking it doesn't mean that you have, all the analytics and stuff set up. And so we had, you need some stuff, right? MailChimp, if you're using that, or if you're using HubSpot or, Zoho or whatever as your CRM or your email sender, being able to go back and look and see, who clicked on the ad, who converted to an order. And so we sent, Andrew sent an email blast about poster. This was a few weeks ago, and it was that we started offering matte poster because we have a different print mode on our Colorados that we can print in matte or gloss, and so we started offering this, and we started offering it like 3 or 4 months ago, and then we just started advertising it a few weeks ago, and it was really cool because he had a really proud moment where he was actually able to go back into HubSpot and trigger one of the clicks because we send it out to X number of thousands of people. And then, you only get a handful of people that actually like, your click-through rate where they actually click on it, go to your website and stuff. And so you can kind of spot check some of those, right? And there was one that we spot checked. They actually registered with us like a year and a half ago. Then they never placed an order with us. They never visited our website. HubSpot shows you kind of how, if you tie it with analytics, it'll tell you how many people.
There's a client that like they registered, they didn't do anything for 6 months, right? Or more than that, 8 months, whatever.
Yeah.
And then what do we do?
And then we sent an email blast that happened to trigger them liking it.
Yeah.
To open it.
Yeah.
Then they clicked on it.
Yeah.
Then they went and placed an order right away.
Yeah.
So they had an order waiting, right? Which I think a lot of our clients do. They've got, some yard signs that they're getting ready to order or something, or they got some stickers and they might be going to, this place or this place or this place or sending it to the local sign shop around them or something that's going to do it. But we happen to catch, use a fishing lure as an example. We happen to drop a yellow lure in front of that walleye, right at that exact moment.
From the Midwest, we like walleye.
If we would have dropped it behind the fish, would have never got him. If we would have dropped it, on the other side of the lake, would have never got him. And so, but it's
that was really cool to see that connection. It was like an $800, $900 order, you said.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a pretty significant order, right?
Yeah.
Like for us, that's our average order size is less than $200. So an $800 order is a big order, like to be running through our shop.
But to be able to figure that out is always kind of cool. And then you're just spot checking your clicks. You're spot checking who's looking at your stuff. You're looking at who, opened your emails and stuff, which if you're sending to a couple thousand, that's not that hard to go through and do.
Yeah.
You could scroll through it in a couple minutes and
gives you that feedback though. Is this working? Can we do more of it? Can we do more of it? But I mean, you think you're getting tired of your advertising message and that you've promoted it and you've talked all the, no, your people they don't care.
Yeah.
I love our clients. They don't care about us, right? They've got, and it's not because they just don't, because they've got their own businesses to run. They've got family they're going to the holidays for. They have their lives that they're living. And so it's really important that we just kind of stay top of mind the best we can, but you figure out what works and you just do tons and tons of that.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of tracking does help, but don't, if you're doing less than $1 million a year in revenue, like you really should just something that just gives you a hint that it's working, just pound it.
Yeah.
You should be doing that 4 hours a day.
To go back to the laser focus and kind of the road that I was starting to go down and I wanted to pull back, but to go back to laser focus, you find what really does well for you. You find the jobs that make you money. You find the client base that, that client, not the client base, but the client profile, that type of client that makes you money and you mesh really well with. And so I look back on 2021, 2020, we had great growth. I think we doubled in size. And we happened to have a really good product mix that worked out really well.
COVID was crazy.
With what was happening in the market. And so thank God for that. But 21, our focus, with all that COVID signage going away, our focus was how do we continue the growth and make sure that we don't step backwards, right? And so it was beat 2020 by $1. And in that process, we had, these 3 clients that were spending a really large amount of money with us. And the challenge is that the product mix didn't, mesh with us that well, right? It was causing a lot of disruption through production. And that was really challenging because it wasn't like it wasn't a clear cut conversation like, hey, we can't print this anymore, right? It was like, it just happened to work out that, either the business went away or whatever. And, it was scary because you're
talking about dropping products that are, they were hundreds for us as a $3 million company, $5 million company at that point. For us, we were talking about dropping product mix of products that were doing $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 in revenue.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a significant amount of revenue.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
A pretty good chunk of our business.
Yeah. And, just us laser focusing on that in 2022, the year after, of focusing on, driving our average size order, focusing on that $200 order and less, really helped us grow. And so we were able to kind of, but it's in the moment, it's scary as hell.
It is. It is. But things are easier today. We talk less about individual orders. But yeah, James Duncan said again, I never realized I made it to the average order status. I assume what you're talking about is you're not placing $10,000 orders with us. You're placing reasonably small, I guess, orders. No, we love those. That's right where we're at. That's what we want.
We get a handful of orders that are over $1,000 each day, but it's there's not nearly as many of those as there are the $200 orders. We get a ton of $100 to $200 orders. Yeah, and that's our bread and butter.
That's what we're focused on getting better and better at.
Yeah, that's the next day production. Focusing on getting our production down the next day. It's those orders that we really want to get out.
Yeah, and I'm also very glad that the sell sheets and the pricing things and stuff like that help you guys a lot. That's the whole point.
Yeah,
right.
That's all Andrew.
Yeah,
he's the one that wishes that.
Yeah.
Okay. So great questions.
Yes,
we
thank you so
appreciate
much.
it
That
very
really
much.
helps us a lot.
Yeah, drives us. Do you find all the different parts that are changing throughout the company keeping you up at night? We've got an awesome team.
We do. Really, Mark, the third partner, he just worries for us. So
yeah,
he's the one that stays up at night worrying about stuff. And I don't know if he's watching or not. I hope, he joins us every once in a while, but he, he does a good job with that. No, I don't, I would say I'm not kept up at night because we have a really good team and a really good system, and it seems to be responding well to the market, right? When we do stuff, the market responds, they buy stuff from us. It's like, yeah, we like it when FireSprint does this, right? We've got this positive feedback loop. We have really great people here. I will say it's like the first thing I think about when I wake up, the last thing I think about when I go to bed, what I'm thinking about when I'm taking my dog for a walk, when I'm in the shower. It never really leaves my mind.
Yeah.
But I do sleep pretty well. I'm not worried. I'm thinking about, okay, what's next? What's the next level? How do we refocus? Are we doing too much right now? Or it's not a worry though. It's a very productive thought process. I think I have. I don't know. Do you worry?
I worry about the leveling out, the highs and lows of sales, right? That's what kind of bugs me more than anything.
Yeah.
Is because we'll go through the peaks and the valleys.
Well, we're losing. To be clear, we're losing somewhere between $100,000 and $150,000 a month right now.
Yeah,
because we're so slow in the winter.
But September was 5 times as busy as it is right now.
Yeah,
and so it's you've got your peaks and your valleys and stuff, and that's really challenging because we want to be a good really top of mind is we want to be a good employer to work with, right? We want to be somebody who can give our employees stability in their home lives and stuff because budgeting is hard. It's challenging to deal with it. And so we budget as a company to be able to handle that. And then also, it doesn't help when you spend $1 million on a piece of equipment either in that process to try and, grow the business and stuff. But that's all something that we take very seriously and we consider. Are you responding to the?
Yeah, no, keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
Yeah. So it's something that you take, you consider carefully when we're talking about that. And that's when Gene was joking about Mark worrying for us. That's like Mark, he's our CFO. That's his strong suit, right? He is
to worry.
No, he's really freaking good at making sure. So we started like actually budgeting on paper within the last few years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We budget out the year. We're like, this is what we think we're going to spend this year.
And this is what we think we're going to make.
Yeah. Projecting sales.
In the last 2 years, he has been insanely like within a few percentage points on his budget as to what we're going to do, which, like he believes that if we, he's got this strong thing of saying that if I plan for it, this is what we're going to do and stuff, which luckily we've been able to do that and stuff. But it's amazing though, how he's been able to like target that and have that laser focus on our budget and what we're going to spend and how we're going to do it and stuff. I think if it were up to just Gene and I, we'd probably bounce checks all the time, but thankfully,
I bounced like maybe 10 checks my first year. And it wasn't that I was broke, but it wasn't that I was just bad at budget. And then Mark comes along and we haven't bounced a check in 17 years. It's pretty solid. So that helps a lot.
Yeah. And so Mark is crazy focused on that and making sure that things are there. And so it helps us handle the peaks and the valleys. He's really good at, keeping us in tune and stuff with what's going on. And yeah.
We just got this question here about Graphex or Sumas. We put a link down below because I go through and talk about the Graphex and kind of why we chose Graphex. The biggest reason why we chose the Graphex is really Derek, one of the guys here. He could get the workflow of the Graphex to work with our existing workflow. So in terms of like kind of automating, getting the cut files of the Graphex and things like that, for some reason, he was just able to nail that a lot quicker and a lot easier with Graphex. And Sumas, we were just kind of fighting that. We did. We actually had Suma first, and we just really could not get like an automated kind of process where it'll cut like a whole roll. Just, go to the next job, scan it, go to the next job, scan it.
Yeah.
We could not get that figured out. Now, I think most people who have a Suma say they can do it. And so it wasn't really a matter of that. But for us, our workflow is so important. We tried the Graphex and it just started working. And so we switched to the Graphex. The other thing too is that they do for our through cutting, it's got the cutting channel.
Yeah.
And so there's no consumable other than the blade on the Graphex for us, where the Suma had a consumable part of the cutter.
Yeah.
And so we kind of like that a little bit better. But in terms of the quality of the cuts, like when they're both cutting, the speed of the machines, the cost, like to buy them outright, you've very much got, two very worthy competitors. When I'm talking about just the plotters, right? Mm-hmm. Not the obviously the flatbed table cutters and stuff. Suma blows the Graphex stuff out of the way. Well, you know what? I'm not going to get into that. I don't know that for a fact, but they're different markets on their flatbed cutters. So yeah, we like Graphex.
Yeah. Did you share the video?
I did. I put the link down.
Is that the
That's the sticker production
most recent
video.
one?
Yeah, how we print and cut 3 million stickers a year, I think it's called, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So watch that when you get a minute, and go ahead and give us a like and a comment on that one too. That's so helpful when you guys comment and like, and you can see we're always responding to them, but it really helps us understand what's important, what's being watched. And then of course it helps with YouTube.
Yeah. So, so I got one more question that it's a topic that I wanted to talk about a little bit, while we were talking about this, because the P5 is a big leap of faith for us to, take that and stuff. And obviously it's a very calculated decision and stuff, but it's a big piece of equipment that we're bringing into our shop. And I know some of you probably have had similar situations, or you might be thinking of something, right now at the moment, where you've got this big piece of equipment that you want to buy because you know that it's going to help you grow your business and stuff. How do you know when it's time
to buy a printer, buy a big piece of equipment like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and answer that best I can. Before I answer that though, if you're on this and you're watching this, we've got about 5 minutes left. And so what I'd like is, I believe that there are a few of you out there that have a question that you want to ask. Maybe it has to do about money, or how we've done something, or how we handle something that's a little bit, it's not so positive. Maybe you've had a problem with us and you're like, I can't seem to get this challenge fixed. We're live streaming so that we can catch those kind of on fire basketballs you might throw at us, right? And that's fine. We want to get better. And so if you've got a question that is on the top of your mind that you're afraid to ask because you're afraid it might embarrass us, or maybe you'll be embarrassed by it or something like that, I really encourage you to just ask it. Just ask it. I can't think of anything that you could ask that would really throw us for such a loop. Worst case scenario, we can't answer that right now, or we'll send you an email with an answer or something like that. But I please.
So okay. we've got two good questions.
Anyway, they just pop up after I was saying that?
Yeah. Well, they kind of at the same time. So Science Visual, do you all offer color matching or PMS matching on your vinyl prints? So do you want to answer that?
No, I want you to answer
So
that.
we've got 3 ways of color matching. And the first way is to send us a one-off order with the file that so put the PMS color in your file as a name spot color. So if you're trying to match PMS 186, put it as a name spot color in your file, send that to us, get one back, and see how you like it. Okay. Yeah. And that is the cheapest, easiest way to get a color match from us. If you like it, then send the rest of your job. If you are not happy with that and you want to get more in depth, what you can do is you can build a color swatch so take a PDF and order a 24 by 24 inch by 24 inch, and then put a bunch of different colors that what they are in there, And so if you're trying to match 186, put, the darker shades, the lighter shades, and get 100 different colors on there or something. Send that to us and decide which one you like the best after you receive it. The third way is where we pull out like a color spectrometer and we actually try to match that. That is extremely rare for us to do just because it's so hard to maintain that consistency, especially across different printers and stuff, with equipment changing and stuff like that. But that's if you're going to spend, I hate to say it like this, but if you're going to spend a few $100,000 with us in print, over the course of the next one or two.
I want to clarify that too.
Yeah,
you said a few $100,000. I mean, this is a big, you've got a big project for a big client.
Yeah.
We actually don't have any of those running right now. We've had them in the past. We don't have any color specific clients
we don't have
in our shop
in our shop yet.
Yeah.
We've had them in the past, but yeah.
So I will say though, our rips, what we're doing is we're continuously trying to improve our match to Pantone colors. We want to get closer and closer to Pantone colors as we expand our equipment and get better at it. But right now we're running like all the vinyl. In this case, we're running on Canton Colorados, and we're using very similar. We're not really changing the profiles. And so, if you ordered a color from us a month ago and you order it today, it's probably going to be pretty similar, pretty consistent. And then the rips are doing their best to just image process, try and get to rip that color correctly. And so, yes, if you send in a Pantone color, Onyx is going to do its best to try and match that Pantone color. Are we actually pulling out the Pantone books and stuff? No, that's not really who we are. We may offer more of that in the future, but we really have kind of backed away from that. So if that's an issue, you can call in. Maybe we can work with you. But as James said, it's absolutely, you kind of order your swatches. It's not a great answer, I know, but we just found it was too expensive to have a product on the shop. And I know I'm supposed to do a better job of sugarcoating this, but it just costs too dang much to color match. Pantone matches, stop production, look at the color book. Our clients want fast and, really affordable pricing so that they can make their margin. And that's kind of one way we can do it. But I think our colors are fairly accurate. I just, it's not kind of a white glove service we don't offer.
Yeah. Previously, we had a job that we were running where we actually printed little swatches and we hung them on the side of the printer, and we would color match and we compare that and stuff.
It was a $300,000 job
per year,
which we don't do those anymore.
Yeah.
We've really moved away from that. Our focus is the $200 order.
Yeah,
and that's it. Yeah.
What was the main turning point? Or great question, Science Visual. Thank you for putting that in. If you got another one, put it in there. We'd love to answer it. James T., what was the main turning point or transformation that significantly impacted your business, services, or website? How did it influence your growth or operations?
What was the main turning point or transformation?
We've had a few of them. In 2014, when we first invested in digital, that was a big moment for us. And I remember because we had bought a Jetrix KX7, and it was the first one in the country, and it was between that and the HP 750, and they were both. I think the Jetrix was actually quite a bit more expensive, but it was faster on paper than what the HP was. And one of the things that got us was we were only offering full color corrugated plastic at the time, and we were outsourcing all of it. And so we're like, okay, we can bring all this in house and start printing in house, and it's going to be great and all this stuff. And I remember the sample that they brought in was a little 10-inch by 10-inch piece of Coro, and they were scrunching it up, talking about how durable the ink was and stuff, and they were crushing it and twisting it. Yeah. And we were like, oh my gosh, this is going to be great. And but none of us put a piece of tape on it to see if it actually stuck.
Yeah.
And when we got it, our ink wouldn't stick to corrugated plastic. And so we tried a bunch of different Coros and stuff, and it was it was like a heartbreaker because we didn't know what to do.
That was a pain.
And at that same time, we had a handful of clients that were coming to us for polystyrene and PVC. And I don't know if we were getting into ACM at that point or not, but that was really cool though, because it was these materials that we had never offered that we were starting to get into. And it just, it kind of opened the door, I feel like, right then and there. And then, after we bought the Jetrix, that was the flatbed printer. A year later, we bought the first Zune, which is the same Zune that we're running, one of those Zunes that we're running, the 4x8 bed. And, that was another big turning point. And then, in 2018, we took a heck of a leap of faith with the P10 250, the Durst printer. That was way more printing capacity than what we needed at the time, and that was a huge purchase. That was more than all of our houses at the time, and it was like it was nuts how big of an investment that was, and that was scary. And we were in
the big printers they've marked. The thing is, I wouldn't say the printers were it though, right? Like you're looking at our shop and you say
those are production turn points.
Well, what I was going to say is they were a mindset shift before we purchased the printer.
Yeah.
Right. So the printer was like the first thing we did after we kind of realized, okay, we're ready to take this to the next level. And usually what was happening was it was just clients asking us for things. They're like, guys, you got to do this for us. You got to do this for us. And so we're listening to that feedback. We're getting it from a lot of different clients, not just one big client that's trying to push us in a direction. Our technology is getting better. We launched on Print Shop in 2016. So all that was kind of happening at that same time. But we usually, before we buy these big printers, just like this one that we just bought, we didn't buy the fastest Durst on the market and then think, okay, how are we going to grow? We kind of made a decision. I took a long trip. I was gone for 7 weeks in the summer, which tells you how awesome the team is here to keep the shop running. But I came back and I'm like, I'm ready to do this. And then I stewed on it. And then I got Mark and James to, we're ready to do this. And then the rest of the team, we're ready to do this. And then it's like, okay, so we have this mindset shift that let's triple, let's try, let's see what happens. Let's give it our best shot. And then it's like, okay, then we buy these printers. So I think these printers mark those moments in time, but it's really a decision being made. It's not necessarily something we did. It was a decision being made to let's do this. Let's do this. So it's going to be a fun journey for you guys to watch us either succeed at tripling or, maybe we'll crash and burn and these will be our obituaries. Business obituaries. Yeah.
So there's one from Matthew Phillips. A big topic in my shop right now. We're right at 12:01, so we should probably get close to wrapping this up. A big topic in my shop right now is KPIs. If you're willing to share, I would love insights into what KPIs you use to manage your business as an executive leadership team.
So we are constantly beating this one to death, but there's a few things that we really like to that we are on kind of topic right now. We don't even track it that well, but first thing you want to do is go find your bottleneck. Find what slows you down, what prevents you from producing any more than you produce, right? And go track that. So if it's sales, if your production team is sitting around most of the time, then don't worry about for now, since we have infinite opportunities, finite resources, right?
Yeah.
Go focus on sales, right? And focus on your revenue KPIs, your profit margin KPIs. Actually, sales are not, they are right now, but throughout the year, our biggest challenge is when we peak, we're not able to produce and ship everything as fast as we've promised to do it. And so for us, it's like in the packaging departments. And so we're looking at how many pieces we cut, how many, and everything we can do to put that up during the day for people to see that. Another big push we have is just like closing out different classes of products every day. So for example, are we shipping, as soon as all the banners we just bought a gong. As soon as all the banners are shipped in a day, our production, Brian, he walks out there with a gong and he lets one of the banner people bang it and say, we're done with all the banners today, right? And so just find your bottleneck, figure out what's actually slowing you down and start with that. That's the best advice I can give on a KPI. And then it really should, it should be very simple. So if you're measuring 6 different things, it's too complicated. You ask your production team if they'll shoot you straight. They'll say, I don't pay attention to any of them. If you can get down to 1 or 2 that actually matter to everybody, like they feel like they have some input on it. So like it's prints per hour or something like that, right? They feel like they can control that, but then they also like it makes a difference in your profit margin or your revenue. That's when you find the perfect KPI. So what it is for you is going to be different than it is for us. And frankly, we don't even know yet. We're like, it's a constant conversation we're having.
One of the things that's constantly going through our heads, I feel like, is Alex Ramosi says it. If you don't have an action item off your KPI, then you're wasting your time tracking it.
Static versus signal or static, right?
Yeah.
If you're looking at these KPIs and they move and you don't do anything, you're probably wasting your time looking at that KPI, right?
Yeah.
So.
One last question. How often do you create custom ICC profiles and recalibrate to ensure consistency?
So with our Well, every time we buy a new printer, of course, we do that. And then we use color profiles. We try to use OEM color profiles as much as possible. And I know that probably sounds like a cop out, but if we can get Canon or Durst to help us build a profile, we'll do that. We do have a photo spectrophotometer here, and we can build a profile, and we do that. But we are trying to change those things as little as possible. If we change materials, of course, we're going to do those things. I'll be honest, we haven't run the same material for years and years in a row yet, where we're doing a lot of recalibration on those. We're getting new printers, we're getting new materials so constantly that things aren't getting old enough for us to feel like we need to recalibrate. We're not getting feedback in which that like things are shifting. Typically, if we run something on our Canon Colorado M's today, it's going to be very, very close in a month, and it was a month ago. So I don't know. I'm going to admit it. This is kind of a weak area for us.
Yeah.
In terms of somebody who's really, really color specific. I don't know that we're like the greatest option out there for that. But we're usually pretty close. We're usually pretty consistent. Our whole goal is to be consistent, not necessarily crazy accurate, more crazy consistent.
Yeah. Well, and one thing we can safely say is we're consistently working to get better at it too.
Yes. Yeah.
We're always working to improve our colors and stuff. It's a topic that we talk about fairly often, in our manager meetings and stuff. And so
right. I'm ready to take this itchy sweater off.
Yeah.
You see me pulling at it.
Thank you guys all for joining us.
Yes.
And thank you for all the comments and questions and stuff. We really appreciate that. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you guys all. Happy New Year. We'll see you.
Happy New Year. We'll see you.
Our next Fire Hour will be early January. And so love to have you guys on there. So thanks, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.